Sit! Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss Dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, Turkey Edition.
Gobble,
I'm
gobble.
Rich Dotson. He's Turkey Matt.
Gobble, 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 gobble.
He's stuffing Garrett.
What sound does stuffing make, Garrett? Not bad.
Dude, I love stuffing so much. Oh,
So good.
love it. So is it?
You ever had sausage stuffing?
Yes.
Sausage stuffing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For my
I don't
aunt.
think I have.
My aunt, she makes the best
So
sausage
good. Sausage stuffing.
Yeah, dude.
Apple stuff. Dude,
Oh.
I've had so many different variants of stuffing. All good.
Yeah. It really is all good.
Dude, you just get stovetop stuffing. I'll eat it.
Still good.
Yep.
Still good.
You're right.
That turkey's
That is
bum.
still good. It really is.
I asked Denise the other night, I was like, because we did like a Friendsgiving thing last night, and we were asking like what's going to be there. I was like, look, is there going to be mashed potatoes? She
Check.
said, yep. I said, is there going to be rolls? Yep. I was
Check.
like, I'm good. I don't really care what else is there.
Carb up.
I can make it work. I can make that work.
Carb up, starch up. Let's go.
I'm a big deviled eggs guy.
Yeah.
The family always like laughs at me because like how many deviled eggs I eat because it's just so good.
We
But
should
yeah.
keep track this year. We should have a devil egg counter.
Oh, dude, we were wearing holiday shirts. Ding. We wear holiday shirts on Thanksgiving. That's my mother-in-law. She likes that kind of thing. And
Okay.
my shirt this year says, "I'm just here for the deviled eggs,"
There you go.
Nice.
which is a true story.
Which is accurate.
No, it's not true because I'm here for the stuffing. Like they have their
Also
own family
other
recipe
things.
for stuffing too. Amazing. Dude. And again, the leftover big plate of gravy, stuffing, mashed potatoes, and turkey and cranberries. It's all mixed together like one big glop where you look at it and I'm like, dude, did somebody just shart? Gobble, gobble, gobble.
All of a sudden that sounded less good.
Yeah, that you really did not sell that.
And I'm hungry
By
now.
the way-
So salvages.
By the way,
I'm going to just scoop up this poop.
you were selling it up until that last part.
I'm sorry. If something looks good, I'm just.
It was the shark part.
Yeah. Yeah. In case we weren't clear on that.
Does the shart have stuffing in it? 'Cause if it does, I'm interested.
Everyone just lost their appetite. That's what.
Yeah, you're right.
Anyone that's listening to
It's
this
gross.
just lost their appetite.
And
I think we can track when we lose listeners in an episode. I think we'll know.
2 minutes and
Yep.
10 seconds.
That's
in.
when we lost them.
I'm not even sorry. Anyways, we're here. We're back. Don't forget, we have Cyber Monday rolling on here. If you're listening to this today after on
Cyber
Black
40.
Friday, Cyber 40. It's going to Cyber Monday. The promo code is Cyber 40. It's going to give you 40% off our website and all our tools. Take advantage of that. It's our biggest deal of all
Such a good
time.
price.
Cyber 40. Cyber 40. Get in there. Just download the app and look at what it is for like the free version, and just imagine how excited would you be to get all the versions.
Full version.
That's what I meant to say. Full version. All the versions.
all the versions.
All the versions. All right. I was going to say plural, but all the virgin.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
What, virgin?
Yeah. I knew right after this. I knew that's where you're going.
Why don't you
You're
go-
consistent.
You can change that.
Edit it out.
I don't have to be a virgin.
Click. Oh, that's how I can change
Love
it.
me. Love me.
I thought you meant because I edited the podcast.
I don't think that's.
Nope.
I don't think that's something you can edit.
Speaking of stuffing.
Just letting you know. I think
Oh, not that excited.
Nothing but consistent.
once you're not, you're not. There's no
All right.
editing.
You can
We don't edit the show ever.
rewind that.
I barely remember what I said yesterday, half hour ago, let alone when we sent yesterday's episode. So we are somewhat of a hard out here. I have a delivery coming for my new record player holder, so I have to go get that. So we have a hard out. Maybe a little bit shorter, maybe a little bit not. But the more we talk about stuffing, the less Dynasty we could talk about.
Well, let's get into it, man.
Don't forget to look for my Twitter at Dynasty Rich, and you'll get that egg roll episode the day after.
Egg roll episode.
Egg roll episode.
I'm starting to literally get delirious because I'm so hungry. I haven't eaten almost 24 hours. So
You should probably.
I fast sometimes.
Intermittent fasting at its worst.
Yeah, dude, Turkey Day is coming up, and I'm about to get real gross with it. Like, real gross with it.
Your belly's gonna be so tiny because you got to eat
I
like
was gonna
watermelon.
say intermittent fasting does not help me to eat more. That's for sure.
I don't have that problem. I just shove it in.
It's just gonna.
I don't
Key is, the faster
fight
you
through
eat,
the pain.
the longer it takes to get stuffed.
Do you play the
Fast
eye
as
of the tiger as you eat, just to motivate
Oh,
yourself?
dude. You know, like people like sit
Just
around
one
dinner
ear pod so you
tables?
can hear everything else.
People like to talk around the dinner table. Not me. I like to
Inhale. Give me a
stuff my
shovel.
face. And dude, definitely on Thanksgiving. Oh,
There we go.
And I just eat all
All right, let's talk fantasy football.
day. I'm hungry again. Actually,
You never stopped being
I
hungry.
never stopped being hungry. All right, what are we talking about?
Cheap guys to stash for the playoffs. We always want to make the big moves, right? We always want to add the big name guys, the splash players. Who wouldn't want to add Saquon Barkley and Jamar Chase to their championship runs right now? Everybody would, sure. But usually can't afford to do that. But sometimes it's those small little moves. And the player that you acquire might not even end up playing for you in the playoffs. But sometimes it's just about having those good depth pieces, the what-if guys, and securing yourself for injuries, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk some cheap guys to stash for your playoff run.
I like cheap guys.
Yeah.
I like stashing. Like I said, I mean, I paid a first for Cedric Tillman and DeAndre Hopkins in my high stakes league. People were like, Rich, I thought you were keeping your picks. I was like, well, things change.
Just kidding.
Just a joke.
I need depth. And like, I was thinking about today because like I'm not starting either of those guys this week. So like, it wasn't a move I had to make, but I had no depth whatsoever. So
Sure.
I had to prepare myself for a playoff run. Because remember, it's like if you don't have a lot of depth, you are putting yourself in position for one player to go down, and your whole season that you just worked really hard to get to playoffs is over with. And it's we kind of talked about it last episode. You're in tunnel mode right now.
Yep,
If you're a contender,
absolutely.
Like, what can I add to help better myself to win? And I think we got 3 guys here that are going to do multiple different things here.
Yeah.
Different levels, right?
Different levels.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start off with me. Deshaun, I almost called him Deshaun. Devaughn, Vele, for me, is a really nice, cheap option to go out and grab, and he's been producing, which is nice. And the reason I think he's going to be cheap, even though he is a rookie, people might just hear of him just now, like, oh, because he's just kind of starting to come out. He's 26 years old. He's a rookie. He's 26. He's going to be 27 on December 12th. So this is not the typical
Brandon
rookie.
Weeden level.
Yes, this really is Brandon Weeden level.
It really is.
So, yeah, the fact that he's a rookie, some people are just starting to get to know him. Maybe there's an assumption out there that he's 23, 22, 21. He is 26, going on 27. Right now, so he's a guy that likely not drafted at all due to age or very, very late.
I have him in a lot of leagues where I picked him off the waiver wire.
Yeah.
And I have actually been, for the last couple of weeks, I've actually started him in multiple leagues.
Well, I mean, that's actually hasn't been a bad plan for about the last 3 weeks. He got 13.9, 10.6, and 14 points in the last 3 weeks in PPR. So over that span in the last 3 weeks, he's been wide receiver 24 overall. Obviously, if you look at the full year, he's way down at wide receiver 72, so not really worth kind of looking at because he's really just been gaining steam over these last 3 weeks. And if you just kind of look at where his routes are, on the team overall, he's 4th overall in routes and targets on the team for the whole year. But over that last 3 games, he jumps all the way up to 2nd, right behind Courtland Sutton. So it's Courtland Sutton and then him kind of establishing himself as the second option in this passing game, which is ascending. I mean, everyone I think right now has recognized that Bo Nix is kind of starting to progress, and so is this offense starting to progress as the year goes on.
Rocky Mountain High.
So Vele is a young as far as years in the NFL, not young as far as he is old as F and
would be a grandfather in the 1400s.
Right. So he's not gonna no one's gonna view this guy as a long-term asset. So I think that's what makes him a guy that you can go out and get right now and just kind of as insulation insurance at that wide receiver position. I don't know if you want to be starting him week in and week out on a playoff contender, but if something happens, I think he's a nice fill-in piece, and he's able to get you at least double-digit points, and the target's going to be there because he's kind of established himself.
And even we're getting these guys for the playoff run specifically, but some of these players will help. There's quite a few teams on bye on week 14, even the week right before the playoffs.
He's one of them.
Oh, are the Broncos that week? Oh, that sucks.
So that that's unfortunate, but you're going to have him in the playoffs against the Colts, the Chargers, and the Bengals. It's number 19, number 14, and number 22 against the wide receiver. So not a strong schedule. There's no single digit type of guys that you really don't want to be facing in the playoffs. So at least he's got a little bit of a softer schedule there, or at least middle of the road to softer schedule for fantasy wise.
Yeah, this is a team that just released Greg Dulcich the other day. This is a team where if anything happens to Courtland Sutton over the next 4 weeks, he slides right into the number 1 role. He's got the size. He's a great red zone threat.
Yep, 6'2".
He's being targeted heavily over the middle as well in some short crossing routes. He has been a nice little wide receiver 3. You can slide into there. Yeah. And right now, for people like me, if you're not a contender and they just picked him right off the waiver wire because like, oh, this guy's getting some volume, you can get him for a 3rd-round pick.
Yep, absolutely.
And for a player that, again, some of these guys, you don't trade for guys like this, go put them in your lineup, but these are the kind of pieces you want just in case because, like Matt said, he's in position to give you double-digit points if he scores a touchdown over 15 points per game. And for a 3rd-round pick, which is going to be you hope pick 36, which is almost a nothing pick as it is, you want this kind of player on your roster.
And you were in the same wavelength because you guys didn't know who each other picked. But now that we know, you guys are targeting this Broncos offense.
Yeah, so my pick is a different player who's also old, but only 2 years older than Vele, and that's Courtland.
But a lot more
Sutton.
seasons.
A lot more seasoned.
Yeah. So my trade target here, and the reason he is because I went into the Dynasty Nerds GM, and I go into the trade browser. So also the GM, if you use the Cyber 40 code, there's a trade browser in there, and it literally shows you real trades and real leagues up to date, up to that same day. And I was looking at this player in Courtland Sutton, and his value right now, he's going for a 25 second. He went for a 26 second. And these are PPR leagues. He went for Ricky Pearsall. He went for a 3rd, 4th, and Jacob Cowan. So,
I would take Ricky Pearsall in a second for him. If I was not contending, that'd be...
Oh, yeah, in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But for the most part, his value is going for a second. And Courtland Sutton, like you said, this offense has been ascending. My goodness, has Courtland Sutton been ascending. I know he's going to be 29 years old, so he's an older player who has done nothing lately, or not lately, over the years, essentially. So any team that's not contending is looking to offload him. If you can get him for a second, I'd pay a 2nd and 3rd at this point for him because if you look at Courtland Sutton over the last 5 weeks, he is wide receiver number 2 overall.
He's wide receiver 10 on the year, dude.
I thought he was wide receiver 9 on the year.
Well, he's 10 now because Zay Flowers. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Still, either way, pretty impressive.
Yeah, so on a year, he's a wide receiver 1. Over the last 5 weeks, though, which is where Bo Nix has really started taking a big turn for the better, he is wide receiver 2 overall, averaging 20.8 points per game, just behind Jamar Chase. So to say he's a championship caliber player is an understatement.
He had a goose egg in week 7 and then has gone nuts since then. Yep.
So you're getting a true difference maker where the value that he's putting out is really worth a late first. Like if you could say confidently, which again, this is 5 weeks straight. So this isn't like a chump. This is more than half. This is just about half the season.
Yep.
Essentially your fantasy season. And he's been doing this. You're getting Jamar Chase essentially on your roster. That's 1st-round value for, even if it's just for 1 year, right? If it's just for this year, that championship is worth a first, like your late first. That chip is worth 1 year of one player. And that's what Courtland Sutton's giving you. So he's giving you Jamar Chase production that you can go out right now and get for a 2nd and 3rd. And you don't have to give up first. I think the most you have to pay here is, like you said, you give up a Ricky Pearsall, so be it. You give up, if you give up Xavier Worthy, I don't want to, so be it. And I'm not saying you should do that. I'm really pushing here for the 2nd and 3rd. And if I had to, if I was up against it, 2 seconds. You're trying to win.
Yep.
This player here is probably the most productive player out there right now for the price of the cost production. Nobody's going to be cheaper than Courtland Sutton giving you this kind of production. Yep. Nobody's giving you 20.8 points per game over the last 5 games for the price of a 2nd-round pick. And that's what Courtland Sutton doing. He's one of my absolute favorite buys right now if you're a contender.
Yeah, the nice part about him is he's one of these inexpensive pieces that if you needed to slide him in your starting lineup, you're not worried about it. Like you're like, okay, he's going to get me a pretty safe 12 points. Maybe more than that. Maybe more than that, but I feel confident that he's not going to tank my season, and I'll rely on Saquon Barkley or Joe Mixon or one of these guys to carry me, but he's not going to sink you. Whereas some of these other players, you know that they have the high ceilings of like, man, this guy could get me 25, 30 points this week, but he could just as easily get me a goose egg or 2 points or something like that. That's the nice part about a Courtland Sutton is the floor is so high for him that you're not worried about those real off weeks as much.
And 12 points would be a bad game for him. I mean,
and
listen to these
that's what I'm talking about, floor.
Yeah.
Floor for him.
From week 12, I'm going to work my way backward, right? These are PPR points. 29.7, 14.8, 19, 23.3, 17.1. He had a goose egg in week 7. But then you go right before that, 15.3, had an off week, 5.2. then 15, 13.8. So if you go back to week 3 of the year, he had a goose egg in week 7, and he scored 5.2 points in week 5, and he scored at least 13.8 points every game since, and his low mark after that is 14.8. So he's producing at high-end wide receiver 2 range, wide receiver 1 range, and you can get him for a second round, possibly 2 second-round picks.
And the only thing I think you have to keep in the back of your head with him is you look at the cap and you look at his contract. His cap number goes from $7.8 million to $20 million next season. And that's the last year of the deal. So he's 29 years old. I would expect them to adjust that if he stays. And if they don't adjust that, I would expect him to be gone.
But honestly, you're not even thinking Courtland Sutton in the future and then along those lines. You're thinking this year and this year only.
Right.
This is this year.
When you acquire that, you should be tunnel visioning it to this year. But just in the back, that's why I said in the back of your mind, just know that this might be a 1-year thing where he's with Bo Nix in this offense and he might be moving on. They might see enough towards, the second half of this season, be like, no, dude, we need you around for this, at least for this young quarterback's development.
Sure.
And just adjust that and kind of put some phony years at the end of it and stuff like that. So I would expect that to be the outcome based on his performance, but just know that it's a possibility that he's gone after.
And I mentioned a guy on yesterday's show as well. On the injury show that we did too. If you want another real cheap version of somebody who's going to cost you literally a third or nothing. I've seen this guy go for Rashid Ali straight up. I saw him go for Christian Kirk straight up, and I saw him go for a third straight up. We mentioned him last show. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine for Tennessee. Him and
Jawan Jennings.
Will Levis.
Okay.
No, but him and
Go
Will
on,
Levis
say Jawan Jennings' name.
have just clicked, right? They've just clicked with
they
his
have.
deep ball. He's performing at a high level. In that same span over the last 5 weeks, he's been wide receiver 18 overall. So if you're getting for a mid-range wide receiver 2 production that has a little bit more of a risk factor, you're giving up nothing for him. Sure. He falls in that Deshaun Vele, super cheap stash guy that you can get for like a third-round pick.
Did you just call him Deshaun Vele? Did I put that worm
Devaughn
into your
Vele.
head?
So Nick
wig there.
Westbrook, wide receiver 18 over the last 5 weeks, averaging 13.3 points per game. Going for the highest I've seen in the trade browser is a third.
Like it. All right. Last one here. And the last one here is more of a concept more than an exact player. And I have an exact player to give the example of the guy that I'm probably targeting the most. And that's Raheem Mostert. But really what this is this is backup season. This is handcuff season.
Yep.
And this is the time of year where I'm taking a look at my 4th round picks, my 3rd round picks, even my 2nd round picks. And I'm saying if something were to shift, whether it's on my team where I'm backing up Devaughn Achane, or I'm backing up Bijan Robinson, or I'm backing up whoever, or if there's a high-end handcuff of one of the guys in my league where I say, man, I would really like to have his handcuff because if his guy goes down, now he has to come through me. And chances are I'll say no if he's also a contender with me. And I'll be like, nope, good luck. Sorry. But that's what I'm looking for. And I have no problem. Like some people are very against handcuffing your own players. I don't understand the big deal about that. I think it's a good idea. They prefer to handcuff other people's players, but I'm more of the thought of why not both? Why not take some, if you have the opportunity to get your own handcuffs and some other people's,
right.
Why not go both?
I mean, the reason you want to do your own, what if it's a late window game and your guy's a late scratch?
Right.
And boom, you have an option built in on your roster already. Yep. So that's the I think the 4 argument, right?
Correct.
Like that's
correct.
And against it, I don't really understand other than you're stacking too many of the same
assets that aren't going to help you at the same time.
Right.
That's really kind of the thought. And that's more preseason outlook, more so. I think even more staunch like anti-handcuffers would be a little more in favor during playoff time than they would be like early on in the season. Yeah. But all that being said, and not all backups are created equal either. Just because they're like the second string guy doesn't mean that there's any chance they would see my team if they did start. So don't just go after any backup, but be strategic about it. And that's why Raheem Mostert's one of the ones that go to the top for me. Something happens to Achane, he's going to have a lot of opportunity, and Wright will be involved as well, but he's going to have a lot of opportunity. Another guy I think of, Emmanuel Wilson. We saw how much Green Bay used Josh Jacobs this week. Something were to happen, he were to go down. I think Emmanuel Wilson, because Lloyd unfortunately is back on the IR again.
Appendicitis, yeah.
Yeah, he just cannot seem to stay healthy no matter
Makes
what.
him a good buy for the offseason.
It does. It does. Ray Davis, another one. He'd be maybe a little bit more on the expensive side. Him and Algier would be like more of the expensive ones, but still potentially ones that you can take a look at. People might be down on Kareem Hunt now that Isaiah Pacheco's back. Another one that you can kind of just check on and see what is the price, because we know when it's the Kareem Hunt show, he's done very well in this offense. Absolutely. So this is more of a concept more than a specific player. But Jerome Ford is another one. Yeah, so go out there and just kind of take a look at who might be available. Who are the names? Who are the players? Austin Eckler's one that I really like. If healthy, I know that he got a little banged up, so we'll kind of have to keep an eye on him.
You got to remember, he's going to miss this. We talked about this in the injury show.
Yeah.
Jeremy McNichols is a good buy for this week, but he's going to miss this week, most likely with the concussion, almost guaranteed. And then there are week 14 bye as well, so you won't get him until
the playoffs. Yep. So, but just names to keep an eye on, guys to just kind of be monitoring in your league, because this is one of those situations that helps both sides. If it's a rebuilding team and you're like, I have this asset that I can't do anything with, you're going to give me a third? Sure. Like, I'll take a third. Sure. And it helps the championship team of, that's just a little more insulation for me. So.
All right.
Hey, Nerd Herd. Dynasty Nerds has an incredible new offer from Underdog Fantasy for new customers. When you sign up as a new customer, you'll get a chance at their new customer free pick. But that's not all. Underdog is also offering incredible deposit bonuses. Use the promo code NERDS when you first sign up, and Underdog will give you up to $1,000 in bonus cash with your first deposit. That's right, $1,000 to kickstart your fantasy football journey. Don't miss out on this fantastic opportunity. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog app. Sign up today with promo code NERDS and start your journey to fantasy football glory today. Must be 18, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. In New York, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY. And in Tennessee, call 1-800-889-9789.
Hard out time. We got to go. Next segment. What's the segment, Garrett?
Segment here is there hope?
Yes, Obi-Wan.
Is there hope? So
a new hope.
I have a list of players here. And they're players that recently have been a little bit on the disappointing side. Things haven't been going as well. We're a little sad face, teardrop. And so you guys are going to tell me, is there no hope for this player? Like, don't put them in your starting lineups anymore. Just abandon all hope, right? A little hope, like, there's a chance. Hope where it's like, yeah, I think I could see it happening. Lots of hope where you're like, yeah, I feel still good about them, or confident, like, why are we even bringing this player up? This player is set it, forget it. We feel great about him. All right?
I'm replacing hope with a new hope.
With a new hope? Okay. All right. I'm good with that.
I like that.
All right. Let's start with the first guy here. Jonathan Taylor started off the year strong, but he's only averaged 10.5 points per game since returning from injury in week 8. So he's been getting some decent volume, but hasn't turned into a lot of points. His offense has been meh overall at best over the past, since basically all season. And I also added in here strength of schedule the rest of the way, because I think that is kind of helpful to know where they're at. So 1 being the easiest schedule, 32 being the most difficult for their position. Jonathan Taylor, 22. So definitely not impossible, but definitely a more difficult schedule the rest of the way. So what level of optimism do we have for Jonathan Taylor?
A little hope.
A little hope for sure.
Little hope?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is a player I identified before the year started that I was worried about. And I've been worried about it. I mentioned this, Matt, on Monday. David Montgomery has been what you wanted Jonathan Taylor to even be somewhat hoped to close, like his worst case scenario. David Montgomery for the last 3 years has been better than Jonathan Taylor. David Montgomery for the last 3 years. Jonathan Taylor is, after a sophomore season, has literally been just a guy at very best, almost to not even valuable. Like he kind of falls in it. He's a big time name, and I still have him ranked probably. I probably have him ranked too high. Every year that goes by is just another lost year at running back that you can't get back for a guy who's only pretty much had one really good year. That's it. He finishes running back 1 overall.
He's running back 26 right now.
He was a running back 1 his rookie year as well. So he's had 2 running back 1 seasons.
But after those first 2 years, he's just been non-existent. So you're talking 3 years straight now that Jonathan Taylor has been almost unstartable, right? Like, is he startable?
I don't know about that. I think when he's been healthy, he's been a pretty solid start. It's been more the missed time.
It's been missed time. And right, he
started the season pretty good. 10.8, 15.5, 26.5, 19.8. Then the high ankle sprain.
And that's when things
missed 3 weeks, 18.7, 8.9, 14.2, 7, and then 3.5. Yep. So it has been a big time roller coaster since the ankle injury. And what's troubling is the 2.4 yards that he averaged in week 11, the 3.2 yards that he averaged last week. That's not good. He got 24 attempts in week 11 and only got 57 yards.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, that's trending in the wrong direction for me towards the end of the season in what's turning out to be a bit of a lost season for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
the whole team.
At what point does it like, you know what, this ankle is starting to kind of bother me. I don't know if I can make these last 2 or 3 games.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, and they got a week 14 bye, so maybe that won't happen. Maybe he'll get that week 14 off and he'll come back and feel better.
So tough.
But I don't know, man. For me, I have a little hope that maybe that's what he needs is that week 14 bye. And then maybe 15, 16, 17, when you need him most, he comes back healthy.
If you made the playoffs.
If you've made the playoffs, that's the big if. You know what I mean?
He's been somebody who I've been kind of down on for the last 2 years. I brought him up multiple times. I'm down on. You guys have kind of pushed back on me in that one too. And every time you have, you've always swayed me back towards the Jonathan Taylor side too. But like, he's somebody I have no shares of. Okay. Because all the ones I have, I've offloaded. Like for the last 2 years in a row, every Jonathan Taylor share I have, I've gotten rid of. Even before the season started this year, I traded Jonathan Taylor away. Couldn't get him off my roster fast enough, to be honest with you. And I told you that before the year I was worried about him. I traded Jonathan Taylor in a second for Jaden Reed in a first. Mm-hmm. And that first is going to be top 5, which
that's
really worked out really well. Or top 6. It's 6 right now, but I feel like it's going to get a little bit better. He's been working off name value only. He really has. And these are kind of players definitely at this kind of position that you probably could still get value off the name. I'm 100% out. Like it goes back to that, what I said before, like how long can you wait, right? Yeah. Like 3 years is just too long. The excuses are over. I don't want, he's been hurt. It's been this, it's been that. He's been in, he's been up and down. I don't care at this point.
Yeah.
It's been 3 years, right?
Agreed.
At the running back position. It's too long. And right now, Jonathan Taylor is such a good name still ranked too high in my rankings, honestly. Like, and I was looking before the show, I was like, do I want to put James Cook ahead of him? Like, I don't know if I do. Do I want to? And honestly, when I say this, it sounds crazy and it's so far off. And it's how I found out. Like, I went back to look at it. Mm-hmm. I was like, I should have, and I should, it still sounds crazy to say this out loud. I should realistically have David Montgomery ranked higher than Jonathan Taylor. David Montgomery just signed an extension with Detroit this year.
Yeah.
He's outproduced him for 3 years straight. 3 years straight. But yeah, I have Jonathan Taylor significantly higher than David Montgomery. I could get David Montgomery and probably a first for Jonathan Taylor in a lot of leagues right now. And it should be a smash accept. So honestly, if I'm a contender, can I get Tyrone Tracy plus for Jonathan Taylor right now?
Yeah.
There is moves. Can I get Bucky Irvin in a second for like Jonathan Taylor? I am all out on Jonathan Taylor. I would encourage anybody that has him, I would trade him away. And I'm sure from this point forward, maybe he'll spit in my face and go off. But like, I can't, like, I'm out completely on it. I know I said a little hope because he's been running back 1, running back 2, and he's only 25, 26 years old. Yeah. So
he was a younger guy coming out.
It gives him a little bit of hope there, but that being said, I'm out. I do not want to be left holding the bag on this when he still has name value.
Sure. I'm a little bit higher, but I'm still only right in the middle there. Just like hope.
A new hope.
But it's more of the old hope that I'm holding on to be honest.
He's got some of that Empire vibe to him.
Yeah. He's got the dark side a little bit. But I mean, part of it is you see him play when he's healthy and when he's right and when this offense is doing well. He has the 18-point games, the 20-point games. Like he's had multiple this season. So you know it's there. The big thing, and I know that this is something that we talked about preseason, was there going to be enough of it? And since losing Joe Flacco, there hasn't been, and it's been the receiving game. And that's what's been tough the past couple of weeks is with Anthony Richardson. Joe Flacco checks it down a bunch. Not so much with Anthony Richardson.
So
he's going to take off and run, and that's what's kind of hurt things.
And that was a huge. If you go back before the year, that was a huge stat line I had.
Yeah.
For and again, you kind of talked about the ledge, but I was like, dude, Anthony Richardson targets the running back at like such a low level. I was like,
most of those running quarterbacks are that.
Yeah,
way.
and I said, if you take away that from Jonathan Taylor, who lived in the passing game too, like now he just becomes literally just a jag because he's not one of the running backs that's going to live off of his rushing production alone. It's hard enough for any running back to do that. Like Derrick Henry could do that, Adrian Peterson could do that, and that was really about it. There wasn't a lot of guys that could.
I mean, Saquon was kind of doing that this year, although he just got a huge boost in the receiving game this past week.
He's a different caliber player than Jonathan Taylor.
He's pretty special.
Yeah, it's one of those players I really encourage again.
Real quick, you mentioned Bucky Irving, and plus he would be an interesting one for the playoff run. Tampa Bay, the third easiest schedule for running back rest of season. So.
Yeah, and these are moves you can make. Like Tyrone Tracy, Bucky Irving are two young running backs. You can probably get those guys plus. People thinking that almost like you're making a smart move, but people are thinking you're overreacting to the rookie hype, right? Like
right.
And not only are you getting a good draft pick there, but you're also getting a lot of upside at the running back position and getting younger.
All right. So for your playoff teams, is there hope for your playoff team with Sam LaPorta? Sam LaPorta, strength of schedule rest of the way, very middle of the road. He's at 17th, but he only has 3 games all season over double-digit points. So he's been one of the biggest disappointments this season based off what he did the year before. If you're a playoff team right now, how much hope do you have? Can you really put him in your starting lineup?
It's a massive disappointment.
Him and Cade fall in the exact same category for me. And I still have hope. So I have a new hope for both of them.
Okay.
But they have been a big time disappointment from this season standpoint. I mean, both those guys, we came into the season with expectations. These guys are going to be in the top 5 at least at tight end.
Yeah.
And I mean, right now, Sam LaPorta's at 17, and where the hell is Kincaid? 21.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they have really fallen way behind guys, and even just out of relevance. I mean, I think Kincaid's very similar in the fact that he's had
I'm starting Zach Ertz over Kincaid this week.
Yeah.
I start Zach Ertz every week over a lot of people.
I mean, both of them have 3 games of double digits. That's it on the season. So there's just better options this season, but they're so young that and the offenses that they're in, I think.
There's definitely hope for the future, but for your playoff team, though, there's not much.
That's what we're doing, playoff?
Yeah.
Oh, there's no hope of this playoff run.
Oh, this is just for playoff?
This is a playoff hope.
I thought we were talking dynasty value overall.
I think that's fine to touch on that, too. But, yeah, like, can you play them in your playoffs?
No. God, no.
Oh, yeah. No hope, then.
No hope. Right. No, I'm with you there. He's very hard, or LaPorta, I mean. Kincaid for that matter.
Yeah.
Either one of those. You can put them both in there.
I literally thought
I got no hope of either one.
That's what I was saying. Get out for Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, yeah. No. Well, and I think that's good to touch on, too, because I think that's still a very fair point. But yeah, because like the next one, obviously, we still have a lot of hope long-term with the next guy.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is very confident.
Why is he even on this
I really
list?
was confused.
But no, this is for playoffs. So he's got a pretty easy schedule the rest of the way. Malik Nabers, 3rd easiest strength of schedule for the wide receiver position, according to Fantasy Pros. But he has not had a single game over 15 points since week 4. And now we have DeVito at quarterback. How much hope do you have to be able to start him in your fantasy lineups?
What was the injury that he had? Was it a hamstring? I can't remember.
Concussion.
It was a concussion that held him out like 3 weeks.
That's right. I knew it was like a long absence, so I couldn't, or at least like a little bit of an extended absence. So I just wasn't sure if that was still lingering, but I mean, it's a concussion. I doubt it's still lingering.
Right.
I'm going to give this, to put in my lineup wise, lots of hope.
Lots of hope.
Yeah, because worst case, he's going into my wide receiver 3. Like he's not somebody I'm taking on my lineup at any point, unless I have like really solid options there, because this is a team that's really bad. They're going to be playing from a negative game script almost at all times.
Sure.
He's still a really good receiver. Any game, it could just all of a sudden turn back on for him. So I'm going to give this lots of hope, because I feel pretty confident that even his worst game, he's giving me close to double-digit points, because he's still the number 1 target in this offense. Yep. And they don't have a lot of weapons around him, and they're going to be constantly struggling here. And he with his route running, he'll be able to get open and give any of these turd for quarterbacks, whether it be Drew Lock or Tommy DeVito, because Tommy DeVito came out today, he has that forearm injury, so he might not even play on Thursday. It might be Drew Lock, who could possibly be an upgrade.
That might be better.
Yeah, that's the thing. It could be upgraded for Malik Nabers. So I say lots of hope for me on Nabers.
I still have a new hope for him.
Okay.
That's as high as I'm going to go. I don't know that the Giants are going to have a real successful run towards the end of this thing.
Sure.
This feels like another team that is destined to like kind of implode. I don't know that some of the veterans on the team were super happy that they got rid of Daniel Jones, and there were some, louder whispers that like they were like, "What the hell are we actually doing right now?"
Right.
And that has a tendency to go south
It does.
when you're not winning games, and it doesn't look better than it did with the other guy in there.
I mean, that was even kind of what Malik Nabers alluded to.
Right. So I don't know what's going to happen here, but this feels like something that's going to get dirty between now and the end of the year. So I'm not sure that I have a lot of good feelings about this whole team in general that I'm going to have like a lot of hope for. I mean, I love the player. I just don't love the situation that he's in right now.
I definitely am not at the point where I can start him with true confidence, but I do think I lean towards lots of hope. And it's more so just I don't see that he's going to likely be getting a lot of these 5, 6, 7 point games. I still think he's going to be getting me double-digit points every week. So I would tend towards lots of hope, but I hear what you're saying, Matt, and I don't disagree.
If Tommy Cutlets gets crushed, maybe one of these offensive linemen doesn't kick out quite as fast as he needs to, and Cutlets gets lit up, and all of a sudden we're stuck with Drew Lock, and
which might be better,
might be worse. Who knows?
I don't know that can be much worse.
So it's just either way, it's just hard to get like continuity if you're constantly in this like kind of rotation of quarterbacks.
As a Browns fan, we're aware.
Yeah, we're fully aware. So yeah, it's just I don't know. I don't love the situation.
Nah, I get you. All right, let's move on to number 4. Seemingly, this one should be the easiest one at first because Cade Otton's been pretty good overall, and strength of schedule is the easiest for any tight end the rest of the way. However, it's only one game, but in the game back with Mike Evans, now that there is a true number 1 target again,
the bubbles burst.
He only had 3 targets in that game.
Bubble is burst. Your Cade Otton time is gone.
So where are we at confidence-wise? How much hope do we have for Cade Otton in the playoffs?
The week 11 bye was them waving. So bye, Cade.
Bye. This was fun.
I have a little hope, but not much, man. Unfortunately, I really do think as long as Mike Evans stays healthy, Baker specifically is going to make a push to get him his 1,000 yards. Right?
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing.
I think that's a really
and he's got to
big
average
factor.
like 100 yards a game for the rest of the season.
A lot, yeah. I think it was 95, and he didn't get it that last
game,
so it just went up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's going to be real, and it's going to be on their mind, and they're going to be trying to do that. So I think there's going to be a lot of balls that were getting thrown to Cade Otton that are just going to be getting forced to Mike Evans going down the stretch.
I give it a new hope because I think teams are going to focus in on Mike Evans and take a lot of that away and force the ball to go somewhere else, which would be the middle. And the fact that he has a number 1 strength of schedule overall for the tight ends,
does help.
I think that kind of helps them as well. They're going to have to move the ball. This is a playoff contending team. They got to push the ball downfield. Evans is going to see all of that, see exactly what, I mean, if we're sitting there on a podcast, a defensive coordinator is going to figure that out as well. So I think Cade Otton, I think it's a new hope. I think
some of them aren't as smart as us.
I'm
just kidding.
And again,
Of course,
I mean,
I'm kidding.
One bad week here and then a bye week. Like, I'm not going to just throw it all away for the production going down because of that. I think he'll still find himself and be able to eat over the middle. If it happens again this week, then maybe it's an issue. But as of right now, as we sit here today on a little bit before Thanksgiving, I still think I'm still right in the middle. I feel pretty good about putting him in my lineup.
I'm kind of I think I'm at the same point. I'm kind of right around a new hope there where tight end has just been so bad this year.
That's what I was going to say. Like, who else are you even?
And that's the thing. Like, I think on a normal season, I'd probably be closer to a little hope than a new hope. But I just
here you go, Matt. Cade Otton or Sam LaPorta?
Oh God! Don't make me choose.
Like, say like you had Sam LaPorta, you went to it, but then the last couple weeks you've been starting Cade Otton because like LaPorta's doing
probably Otton.
Probably Otton, right?
Probably Otton.
So, yeah, so that's my point. So like depends on your option. It's a tight end too. So like, how many options do you got? Really?
Last one. You want to do the quarterback or the receiver?
Let's do the quarterback.
All right, quarterback here. Captain Kirk Cousins. He has failed to eclipse 12 points in either of his last 2 starts, but he was playing pretty well right before that. He's been another one that's kind of had a roller coaster of a season where great week, pretty bad week, great week, pretty bad week. Last 2 have been pretty bad, but they are just coming off of their bye.
Off the bye, yep.
6th easiest strength of schedule rest of the season. So where are we at? This is in Superflex terms. Where are we at with Kirk Cousins?
Oh, Superflex, then lots of hope.
Lots of hope?
Yeah, he's not coming to my lineup.
I think I'm at the point of actually putting him in confident, probably. Like, I can't see a scenario
You're benching him?
where I'm benching him unless I'm in a really good spot at quarterback.
Agreed. Yeah, I think I'm not at confident, but I'm at lots of hope.
Okay.
For him.
Yeah, because I at this point, with that easy of a schedule, and that's in that range, that's kind of more what you're looking at. If they're not like a consistent top 10-ish type guy, it's like, who are they playing this week? And usually my second and third quarterbacks are close enough where matchup really does matter as to who's going to start. And so if that's what his schedule's going to look like.
He's one of these guys that you can't afford to put on your bench because he could have a 450-yard game and like 4 touchdowns.
Yep.
And that could come out of basically nowhere.
And the offense is still pretty healthy.
Yep.
Overall, all the weapons are there. So
And good strength of schedule.
Yep.
So, sorry, I have a hard out. I apologize. A little bit short of a show, but not too short. Still about 45 minutes or so. Let's bring on a couple ads. About an hour in there. We'll be back. Hope we had a very blessed Thanksgiving. And
Absolutely.
They way more than they started to. Whether you're listening to the day of Thanksgiving or after, we'll be back on Monday with an injury show as the home stretch begins for the fantasy football playoffs.
Adios.